if you could go into your fantasy draft with the exact same tools that all the fantasy experts use in order to win their leagues? Well, guess what? My name is Justin with J Fantasy, and I'm inviting you to Fantasy Football Training Camp, a live virtual 2-day event where you have the opportunity to learn from analysts, former NFL players, betting experts, and a whole lot more. This is your chance to get real analysis and expertise live through panels, participate in mock drafts, and a whole bunch of other goodies. Make sure to get your ticket in the description below and join us at Fantasy Football Training Camp this August 2nd and 3rd. We'll see you there. What up, what up, what up? Your boy Justin Henry here live with my boy Tyler Health. Today we're going to be mock drafting. That's right, we're going to be mock drafting today. The first one we're going to do is a 10-team mock draft. So if you want to get into the draft, I'm going to drop the link in the chat here in just a minute. So make sure y'all hang out, hit the like button. We're going to need them likes up this one. And I'll be, obviously, what I just mentioned there, my recorded self. Make sure you get your ticket to Fantasy Football Training Camp. Both Tyler and I will be in attendance. You'll be able to draft with us, hear from other NFL analysts in this space. Dante Culpepper is going to be there. Austin Eckler will have a session there as well. And there might even be a couple other surprises on the way. We are going to be giving away something tomorrow. So make sure you're paying attention to all the social media outlets. We're going to be doing a couple of giveaways here over the next few weeks. So make sure you get your free ticket right now while they last before we lock in. All right. Tyler, my man, how you doing, bro?
Good. How are you doing?
You know, I'm living life, man. We've had some off-season stuff here. This week is training camp week, though. We're getting in. I saw a tweet this morning, and it was, here goes George Pickens going crazy. And it was a clip of like Brandon Cooks catching a touchdown. They were fucking around because he has no three.
Okay.
And I'm like, here go the hype train. We got to deal with this every offseason.
Oh yeah, this will be the time when this player's in the best shape of their lives, and like I'll never forget. We talked about this before, but the Marquez Callaway hype, the Justin Ross, right? That was his name from the Chiefs.
Yeah, that was
the hype there. It wasn't me. I was not a part of that. But yeah, you get that kind of stuff. It's hard not to get excited about players that you're excited about. You know what I mean? Like when you see that kind of stuff, but you have to, it's shoulder pads, shorts on, that kind of stuff. So the real thing is positional battles. That's what you want to pay attention to at this time of the year.
Yes, and I think some of those RB2, wide receiver 3s, those will have impacts here very soon, especially with like the younger guys earning roles. So Sonny G was popping. He said, J-Han the GOAT, we need that elite ball knowledge today. That's all we drop on this channel, man. And if you want to get in the mock drafts, we're going to be doing the 10 team here in just a minute, all right? We're going to do a couple mock drafts today. Claim my free ticket for training camp. Can't wait. Appreciate you, Ryan. Yes, if you haven't got it, I'm telling you, you're going to want to be there. You're going to want to be there. This is one of them things you just want to be at. For those who are watching right now, sneak peek, we're also giving away, I don't want to ruin it. May have to do with Austin Eckler if you want to be in a league with him. I might be personally giving away that spot, may or may not be. I'm not sure yet. So, you know what I'm saying? Tap in, man. Trying to do a lot for the community, bro. Go, J-Han, can you do a tier list for each position like last year? Yes, I'll do. There will be tiers. Do you not have the intro anymore? No more intro. It's going to be other stuff now. We got to get straight to it. You know what I'm saying? No more intro on this one, but it is what it is. I wish I could be back in the Henry Health. I was so close. We got to run that back, Tyler.
Yeah, we will. I also got to buy that kid. I always forget about that. Just because I don't know if you have how many. See, this is one problem, and I love my fans, and I appreciate them watching my stuff, but I don't know if you ever have this. Sometimes I'll hit accept because I'm feeling nice in my inbox and accept somebody's request. And it, like I did it the other day, and this guy's already messaged me 5 times. And I like helping people out, but that's the problem is that when you start hitting accept, then it's just like repeat questions again and again and again. And it's like, bro, I like you. I love you guys, but I can't be answering questions all day like this. Just watch my videos. I literally say most of the stuff that they ask in my videos. So
I hate, there's some people, I will be honest with you guys. I used to answer any question that came in. It used to be like, who do I start? What do you think about this trade? I'm in the 106. I used to answer every single message that came in. And it got to a point where there are a couple bad apples that ruined it for everybody. I'm just going to say that. So I used to be a lot more active. Some of you guys probably still, know what I'm saying, know that. But like, I used to be way more active as far as like commenting, going back and forth. It got to a point where it was getting taken advantage of. So if you ever tap in with me or with Tyler, man, and we give you some advice or we give you help or you want to ask a question, don't feel bad if we don't answer. But then if we do answer, don't abuse it. You know what I'm saying? It's not my
Yeah,
personal
like
text line.
that's
Like we got love
no
y'all,
such
but
thing.
damn, don't abuse it though. Don't abuse it. Listen, I'm dropping a link in the chat right now for this one. It's a 10-team mock draft. We're going to be running a couple today, so make sure you guys tap in with us. Also, Tyler, I want to talk about this too. We had a couple news noteworthy items. Oh shit. We had a couple noteworthy items happen this week. I think it's worth talking about before we get into this. Before we get into the mock, couple
Mhm.
noteworthy items. Uh, Noah Fant got released. That was kind of awkward. I thought like that was going to be a nice little, you know what I'm saying, tight end situation for him. He got flat out cut. What were your thoughts on that? And obviously, everybody loves Elijah Arroyo, rookie tight end from Miami. He was considered, outside of injuries, considered one of the favorites to be like a top first round pick and fell to the second round because of injury. A lot of people liked him. What are your thoughts about him fantasy wise?
So Elijah Arroyo, it's just I'm not super excited just because it is a rookie tight end. He's not the caliber of like, and maybe I could be wrong about this, right? Because tight end position is so difficult to really figure out with the rookies. Like these guys usually take years to start being fantasy relevant, except you're really elite guys. So it's just one of those situations where he wasn't one of these top tier tight ends like a Brock Bowers or
Mm,
um, like the two that got drafted this year, and there's potential. So I'm not super excited about him, to be honest with you. And then also like you figure it's probably JSN and Cooper Cup ahead of him in terms of targets. So now
at
third on the Seattle
least.
Seahawks. So it's just like it's something I'm not excited about. But I do I kind of like Noah Fant being released, to be honest with you, just because I've always thought Noah Fant, like, he gave us that 1 year in 2020
In
in
Denver, yeah.
Denver. Yes, even the next year, he was top 12 at the tight end position. And like he's only 27. It feels like he's much older than 27 years old. So I think this could be a situation where I don't think he's going to be fantasy relevant, but in terms of dynasty, like I made this move years ago in all my leagues when Evan Ingram went to Jacksonville. I traded a third rounder for him in a lot of leagues because I believed in the player and I thought that the player had potential just in a new situation where this could be the same situation where in like a dynasty league I might throw out if I need a tight end, maybe like a third round pick because majority of the time those picks don't hit anyways. If Noah Fant ends up landing in a decent spot, so he's somebody that I'll be interested to see where he ends up.
I think Elijah Roy is going to get some hype. He's probably going to climb up to the top 25 tight ends. A lot of the
Yeah,
analysts really love him. And I think he kind of provides like the Juwan Johnson esque type of upside, like touchdowns, maybe on a weekly basis, every other weekly basis, like 7, 8 touchdown upside, 400, 500 yards. But for the community, I would hope you guys don't overdraft him. There's other really good tight ends ahead of him. You talk about like Kate Otten's going outside the top 20 tight ends, and Elijah Roy is probably going to end up over him at some point. Juwan Johnson himself isn't even a top 25 tight end. So I think for Elijah Royal, just don't get too caught up in like he could be a top 12 tight end. I know it's easy to find those rookies that outperform, but you hit it kind of spot on with Noah Fant before we get into this draft here. With Noah Fant, like it just depends on the situation. We've seen him have like opportunity, but he hasn't really been where he's needed as the starter. So that's the only thing is what situation outside of like Carolina or the Giants. Like I'm really trying to think of a good situation for him. I don't
yeah.
really see it. Maybe like the Titans, but where does he go and become the immediate starter? That's the only question mark I really have with Noah Fant. That's why I'm not really buying a Noah Fant like bounce back. But
No, that's fair. I think that the tight end position is the one position in football, in fantasy football, where you look at it, it's this hyper athletic guys that are super productive in your top tight ends. And Noah Fant was, you go look at his combine metrics, I mean, just eye popping numbers. And then
yeah,
he had those couple of years in Denver early in his career. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if he does end up like with the Giants, I think that there's potential there for him to carve out a role.
yeah, I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it. All right, here we go. 10-team league. We have 3 receivers and a flex, 3 bench spots, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 2 running backs. I'm drafting from the 6th spot. Tyler is drafting from the 8th spot. Let's get it. That's why we need a member only or sub only. Yeah, this is nice and chill right now. Shit, even the member only chat gets crazy after a while. Would you rather have Genty Neighbors or Kyron Lamb in half point PPR redraft? Definitely not Genty. I probably go the Kyron Lamb side here for me personally. I go can't because I think CD Lamb. I think we're forgetting who CD Lamb is. You talked about that before, but then I
Mhm.
also just trust Kyron way more than I trust Genty.
Yeah, I probably because those obviously, like, I'm intrigued with the first side just because it's this fantasy upside with those kinda guys. You don't know what they're truly capable of, but
Yeah,
the other side is definitely more safe. Like, you know what you're gonna get. Although some people think, what's his face gonna lose work this year, apparently.
Kyron. There's been a lot of I've noticed a lot like this Kyron kind of hate train has been going on. I think
Yeah.
McVay's talked about get lessening the workload. You go draft Jarquez Hunter, and then you also have Blake Corum last year. So obviously, and they got to pay him too. I think Kyron's due for a contract, so this might be one of those situations where they're like, all right, prove to me you're worth the contract. Prove to me you're not replaceable. Maybe that's what this is for the Rams.
Ooh, let's
Yeah,
see.
I don't know. I think
Oh, yeah.
Ceedee Lamb though. We I think we're forgetting who Ceedee Lamb
Not me.
really is. Not you, not you.
Not
I think
me.
we as a you're right, you're right.
I
As a
I think
community.
he should be I agree with the beginning of this draft. He should be the 3rd overall pick,
I'm
in
not
my
mad at that.
opinion. Just because everybody loves Jamar Chase now, and Jamar Chase, the easy number 1 pick. But just I went back and looked at it. Literally, those 2 guys scored I don't think it was exactly the same, but it was less than 1 point. The same amount of points CD scored 2 years ago, and they averaged these same exact fantasy points per game.
Like 22, 23, somewhere there.
It was 23, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what CD can be. And then I know people bring up like George Pickens, but like that was one of the big things with Jamar Chase. He can't be wide receiver 1 because he has T. Higgins there. He's still wide receiver 1. Why?
Yeah.
Because he's one of the best wide receivers in the league. These guys command a high end, like a lot of targets, just what they do. Same with Justin Jefferson. I mean, you could say this too, like he's already been it, but he has tougher target competition than both those guys. He has TJ Hawkinson and Jordan Addison. So,
Yeah.
like,
Well, depending on Jordan Addison's situation.
yeah, but
But
like these guys have other people. There's not just a Batman. There's always a Robin, and that's what George Pickens will be. He'll be a Robin to the Batman of CD Lamb, and CD Lamb can be the wide receiver 1, like easily.
I think the one thing about CeeDee Lamb we're also forgetting too is that he's going to move around way more than he even moved last year. Like he's going to have the ability to do that with Pickens playing on the outside. He can go outside, he can go back to the slot, inside, work a lot of that. And I think once Dak is healthy too, like CD provides such a nice floor PPR
Yeah,
wise because of his targets. He's going to command somewhere in 10 to 12 targets each game. So that offense, I know it's going to change maybe a little bit, but like I'm just when I think of CD Lamb, you think quarterback. There's not. You're right as far as like question marks with the quarterback. You don't really have to deal with that with Dak versus like JJ McCarthy is just a true wild card.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
only thing is I think Jefferson's probably a better
No,
receiver,
for sure,
but
absolutely. If I knew if Jefferson had Kirk Cousins, there'd be no question where it's Jamar Chase, Jay Jettis. Take your pick at the 101. It's just we
yeah.
have no idea. I mean, JJ McCarthy could be Kirk Cousins, which would be fantastic. I think that's like best case scenario. He's basically Kirk Cousins in this offense, which wheels up, but he could be, once again, like worse than Sam Darnold. Not which I still think Jefferson will be fine, but I would not say he has the same ceiling as a CD Lamb if Dak is healthy all year long.
Yo, I made a take. I made a take. Speaking of like good receivers, I made a take. I want to get your thoughts on this take I had, and I dropped this take on TikTok. So if you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and check it out. But I talked about Devonte Adams, and I mentioned I was like, "Yo, we have him like wide receiver 18 right now." I was saying this because I almost took him right here, and I probably shouldn't have said nothing until after my pick. But are we undervaluing Devonte Adams? He finishes the wide receiver 11 last year with the Jets, and that was missing. I think he missed 2 games last year when he was going through the stuff with the Raiders. And I know it's not Aaron Rodgers, his buddy, but like he's probably going to operate out of the slot, which is Cooper Kupp spot, where Cooper Kupp was averaging, he was the wide receiver 5 on a points per game basis over the first 14 weeks of the year. And like Devonte Adams, there's no other way to say this, but he's flat out just better than Cooper Kupp. Like he's elite when it comes to like being a receiver.
Yeah.
So are we undervaluing Devontae Adams? 'Cause I think he might be one of the most mispriced receivers in all of fantasy.
Well, my question to you would be, because I'm struggling with this, and I have looked at him at this spot. Who is the wide receiver 12 this year?
Yeah, who you take out? Who you take out? That's the hard
I
part.
I don't know, like, because for me, it's a very clear top 11.
Yeah,
Like AJ Brown, Lyle McConkey,
I don't got Lad
Drake
in there. I don't
London.
think that's that clear.
Lad is easily inside the top 11. You're crazy if not.
Nah.
Out of those guys, I don't know who to put in. And Devontae Adams is definitely in that discussion. Like for me, the guys that I keep going back and forth on is Tyreek Hill, Gary Wilson, and Devontae Adams. And the reason being is like I'm kind of part of the crowd that I think there's a, I don't want to say a good chance, but a decent chance that Tyreek is not the player that he once was. It may be regressing here before our eyes after last season. Or
Yeah,
there's the flip side.
I don't see
He
that.
goes back to what he was, and then he's a great value. But like the situation has changed drastically for Devontae Adams over the past few years, and he still continues to put up wide receiver one numbers. I mean, last
That's
year
the
it's
thing.
like 17. So like he's arguably walking into a better situation here with the Rams on a more potent offense that has historically under Sean McVay been very condensed with all the targets that go through a couple of guys. And it's going to be him and it's going to be Puka Nakua. So I would agree. I honestly think he might be my wide receiver 12 heading into the season, but it's just that range of guys that I don't know, but he's one guy that I feel good about being at the very least a high end wide receiver 2 this season.
I started thinking the more about this was I was seeing him like I was seeing him down there like wide receiver 18, and sometimes when old receiver new team, I think there's a stigma about that, and I think there's some validity to it, right? Like older receivers going to new teams, it
Yeah.
typically doesn't work out very well. But I was noticing, I'm like, okay, I have a lot of question marks about Mike Evans this year, right? Like, I think his ceiling's kind of limited. You bring in Emeka Egbuka. What does this look like for that team, right? New offense coordinator. And I was like, okay, Terry McLaurin, he's holding out. How long does he hold out for? If not, I think Terry's pretty safe as like 1,100 and like 6 to 8 touchdown guy. Maybe he has, I think there's some TD regression coming his way off the season he had last year,
Yeah.
especially you bring Debo in there, right? And I'm like, okay, Marv, I really like Marv, really like the upside for Marv, and he could smash, but like, there's also a chance that Trey McBride is just the guy there. Lad, obviously, it's a run first offense. He's probably not going to get the touchdowns you want to see. Whereas, like, and I'm starting to create in T. Higgins. Like, T. Higgins has the value, but he stays hurt. So I'm going over and I'm like, well, Devontae, what are Devontae's like? What's his risk? What's Devontae Adams' risk? He typically stays
Age.
healthy. And really, it's just the fact that, like, unless Puka Nakua is this 200 target hog, but like Stafford will spread the rock out. And Stafford can carry two top 12 to 15 receivers. So why am I even panicking on Devontae Adams? That's where I'm at. And,
Yeah.
you got a guy who is widely considered, even now, he's considered a top 5 receiver. And there's a chance, Tyler, there's a chance, and I know it sounds far-fetched because I said the same thing last year about Cooper Kupp, but there's a chance Devontae Adams outplays Puka Nakua this year. There's that chance.
I'd
And
disagree, but
I think there is
I
a
think they
chance
can
that
both
happens.
be wide receiver one. I don't see it. I think Puka is much better than what people anticipate. I think Puka is a superstar, truly.
I think he's a superstar as well, but I think that's also saying now, I think he's a superstar doesn't mean that Devontae Adams isn't a superstar and a better receiver still than Puka Nakua is. Like, if you had to rank your top 5 receivers in real football, I'm not saying for fantasy, in real football, I think most people would still consider Devontae Adams a top 5 receiver. The talent didn't just leave. He was still
No,
elite
but I
last
think
year.
he was good last year. I wouldn't say elite.
He was elite last year.
He was good.
What
Puka
were his
was
numbers?
elite.
I'm about to hold on. I got to pull up his.
I think you're kind of underselling. Like, I think we'll see. This year, Puka Nakua is gonna
It's I
light
think
the
that's
world on
the
fire.
hardest part. It's saying I have to undervalue Puka Nakua. I think we are just
No,
massively
I think they both
undervaluing.
can. No, I agree with what you're saying. Okay, well, you're just you're saying there's a chance. I disagree. Well, sure, there's a chance. Never say never, but never. All right. So that's what I feel. But anyways, um, No, but I do think that they could be top 12 wide receivers in fantasy football. I do think that's a real possibility. I mean, when you go back and look at like Cooper Cup and what's his name? Robert Woods, they both produce, I believe they're both top 20 wide receivers, and Devontae Adams is better than both those guys. I would say
Yeah,
Puka Nakua is better than both those guys.
yeah,
Maybe not Puka or Cooper Cup, but I also think Cooper Cup was just in a perfect situation with a prime Matthew Stafford at that point. But like I would argue both these guys are so it just comes down to for me, like, and some other people were saying like last year, I've seen them say it that Matthew Stafford regressed last year. Well, that's because he wasn't playing with Puka Nakua for nearly half the season, and also Cooper Cup got hurt last year. Like he was throwing
yeah.
the fucking Jordan Winnington and Tutu Latwell.
You
Like,
two
what do
that
you
well.
expect him to do? So I think that Matthew Stafford still has it, and I think that Devontae Adams still has it, and you have an ascending superstar in Puka Nakua where what like these guys can eat. And I would not be shocked if at the end of the year you look back and Matthew Stafford is supporting two top 12 wide receivers in fantasy football. So I agree with you. Like he's because like I think there's just you can start really poking holes in all those guys after once again for me the top 11, but it sounds like for you the top 10. But you can start poking holes in all those guys, and I do feel like Devontae Adams, just the one thing is age. Outside of age, like I still think he clearly has it.
Yeah, I think the age is probably the thing that's holding them back. I don't know. Is I'm lagging right now, huh? Am I
You're
lagging right now?
lagging a little bit.
Yeah.
Not anymore. You were a tiny bit.
All right, I feel like I was lagging, but I feel like the one thing about Devontae is everybody's gonna go to like he's older, he's 32, so there's this anticipation that a cliff is coming off, and the thing is just based purely off the numbers, he didn't really give us any reason to believe that last
Yeah.
year. I think that's just one of those things in our heads where like, man, it's gonna happen. So I just think like when I start to think of receivers in that range, I don't know that I would say, hey, take him at 12. But I mean, if he had 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns, like that's not shocking anybody.
No.
And that's probably like top 5, 7 numbers.
Oh man. Yeah. And honestly, I think I'm starting to come to the point of like I don't like a lot of those wide receivers there in that range. Like
Mhm.
it's not that I don't like them, but I don't really see. I would not be shocked if Um, DJ Moore is basically putting up the same points as Garrett Wilson this year. Like they're close, but you can get DJ Moore 2 rounds later, like in this draft. Or I don't know, like Jamison Williams
Yeah,
puts
yeah,
up nearly the same points as like Terry McLaurin
yeah.
or somebody like that. So for
Xavier Worthy.
me, yeah, like I'm just kind of fading the wide receiver position once it gets like to the third round, and I typically just go running back, or I just go with like a surefire bet outside of injury. Lamar Jackson is probably going to be a top 3 quarterback in fantasy football, if not the quarterback one, and then I'll just play
But
it
see,
safe with him.
I'm on the opposite side of that, especially if it's a 3 receiver league. I think that's the part where like I still want to because it's there's a very steep drop off. I think at the running back position right there as well. Right, you got Mixon, Kamara, Bucky, Kenneth Walker, and like Chuba Hubbard, if you want to include him in there, Chase Brownish, like that range. After that, it becomes like Tony Pollard, maybe James Conner if you want to put him in there. But it becomes like Tony Pollard and DeAndre Swift. And it's like there's a big drop off in the third, fourth round, too, for running backs. I think those receivers to me are like after receiver 19, 20, like it's a crapshoot. It's literally a
Yeah,
crapshoot for the next like 15 receivers. So for me, I think it's probably easier to find, for me at least personally, I've found that like if I could stack receiver and running back there at the top, then I can go get some of those later names like Pacheco, ETN, Pollard, Brian Robinson. I can get some of those guys later as opposed to like trying to find who's the right receiver out of Jordan Addison and Zay Flowers and fucking like there's just so many of those receivers that Michael Pittman and Josh Downs and I'm cool off. I'll get the ones I want at a steeper at a much better price. So let us know y'all thought on that, man, because this is like that's draft strategy right there. But like, let us know what you guys think about those middle wide receiver twos because there's a pretty good gap there. Would you rather we answered that one already? Where do you guys rank Rashee Rice now in terms of who do you take over in Brees, Adams, Kamara versus Rice rankings?
I think he'll go after those guys.
Yeah.
Like
I think
I
it's
would say in a 12-team draft, like I think because so I'm kind of the school of thought that I think it's going to be around 4 games. I think it's going
okay.
to be between 4 and 6. So I'm okay like getting them in the 5th round for like late fourth, just because it feels like the Alvin Kamara situation a couple years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. Value's going to
Like
tank. And
we know the upside. I guess we don't technically know the upside. And he is coming off of significant injuries. So you can say,
yes.
like, there's obviously some risk here. I'm going to go with Jaden Reed. Um, but I would say, like, definitely the 5th round, I feel good just because I look around the 5th round. I'm like, there's just a lot of guys that I'll like feel like kind of what you were just saying outside that
Yeah.
top 20 wide receiver range. The running backs gets a little ugly that I'm okay with just taking the upside in Rashee Rice. But I would even argue, like, I feel like that drop off in a 12 team happens around like mid 4th round, where I'm kind of looking around, looking at the board, and I'm just like, ugh, it's kind of ugly. I don't really like a lot of these guys here. So I'm just going to take him here because I know the upside is
Yeah, the
potentially top
upside's
five.
there. I think you have if you go in with 2 to 4 games, I don't think you adjust too much, right? I think
Yeah.
two. I think that's like you're going around Cortland Sutton territory, around like DJ Moore territory. That's where I would want to draft Rashee Rice because I
Yeah.
would want the upside that he has for the second half of the season more so than those guys. I think if it's anywhere from 6 to 8 games, though, I'm probably bumping him
Yeah.
down like closer to like 30 because that's a big hit. We got to make sure he gets
Especially
involved in
eight.
the offense. Yeah, especially
Eight's a
eight.
lot.
Because now you're probably talking. I think I looked at this the other day. I'm pretty sure the Chiefs have a week 10 bye this week. So it's
Mm.
like you get maybe 1 or 2 games before the bye. You're talking week 11. That's a long time to go without your wide
Yeah.
receiver
With
too
that.
if you
Yeah.
draft him at that range, you know?
No, for sure. And it's tough right now just because we have no idea. I mean, it could
Right.
be 8. I think it's gonna probably likely they've been pretty consistent, and it's his first time. Usually with guys, their first time, they're not as hard on these kind of guys. So it's usually
Yeah.
like the 4 to 6 range. But it was also like I know he was speeding and stuff, but it's not like I don't know, and he has the jail. I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit a lot worse than what it kind of seems like type of situation. I don't want to make light of the situation, but it's not
Yeah.
like I feel like we've seen a lot of other things that have been worse
Well, we
than
got 3
this.
games from Kamara. He had no jail time. We got Rashee Rice got 30 days in jail and 5 years of probation. It's not like the law was
Well,
like, yo, you got
the
off. It was like you got a
probation,
pretty steep for an NFL player.
yeah, I guess, but also
You know what I
the
mean?
jail time goes away if he's fine during the probation. They said,
Yes. So I think at the end of it all, it's like obviously we can't. We're not lawyers. We're not like deep in like we don't have no. We're not in the NFL circles like that. At least I'm not. I don't know if you are, but for me, I don't know
"Oh,
how
I
long the
know, I
suspension is going
already
to be.
know the suspension. It's going to be 5. It's going to be 4 games."
You sure? I think it's going to be 5.
Nah, I haven't. I think it's going to be 4 to 6. Personally, is what
Four
I
to six.
think.
I think it'll be somewhere in like the 3 to 8 range. That's what I'm thinking. Cover all bases. So yeah, I think for me, unless it's more than 4 games,
Definitely
I'm
not full
slightly
season,
definitely not
right?
full. Ain't no
Yeah,
way.
I've seen some people say full season. Come
Ain't no
on now.
ain't no way.
Deshaun Watson didn't go to full season. You think he's gonna get a full season?
Nah, I ain't no way. We'll see what Justin Tucker gets too. That's crazy.
Well, I thought they already
What
maybe they
Tucker got
didn't.
suspended already?
Maybe
Well,
not.
I mean, he got to
Yeah.
get on a team first.
Yeah, he got cut. You know what? Oh, I only got 4 running back. I don't even have tight end. Damn. I was
There
paying
you go. Let's
attention
see your
here.
sleeper tight end.
You know who I've been coming I just feel like he's a very safe tight end. He's been top 12 in fantasy points for like the past 6 seasons. That's Dallas Goedert.
Dallas Goedert. I
You
like
want
that.
nice, reliable. I would have probably just went with Tyler Warren just because I bet Dallas Goedert would just be in a free agent the first couple of weeks, and then I'll just pick him up if Tyler Warren isn't doing anything.
Yeah. Let us know what you guys think of the mock draft in the comments. Obviously, Sonny G's gonna make his last pick here. Nothing crazy. I don't see anything crazy. Everybody got quarterback, tight end. Damn, Cosmic Key faded the receiver position. I hate that draft, bro. I'm not gonna lie. That draft is.
Which
I
one?
don't like that. The ninth slot went 0 wide receiver. I hate it.
Oh, yeah.
That looks ugly to me. That looks ugly to me. Oh, that looks ugly to me. I really like what GA Boy did here. GA Boy, I like that team a lot, bro. Except for the leveling pick. I feel like but I mean, it's not bad. I like that level. I like that team a lot. Slot two, Toker Jones, you killed it. So Toker Jones killed it. Burrow in the
Yeah, I
seven.
like his.
Yeah, that was a real good squad. Tyler, your team is ass. Uh, I'm just
My
playing.
team's no, I forgot. I definitely would have. I probably wouldn't have went with RJ Harvey there. Would have went with I forgot it was 3 wide
Three
receivers.
receivers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing I would have done differently.
All right. Y'all want to get another one started? Let's do a 12 team half PPR. Do you have any? I can't tell you the last time I've done a standard mock. You want to try a standard mock?
It don't matter to me.
Let's do a standard. Do you guys even want to do a standard mock? That's the real question. Would you
To be
guys even
honest
want
with
to
you, I
try
don't
that?
even know if people truly approach it like it's technically standard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
because
feel like they'll just
people would probably still draft the exact same way.
yeah, they'll probably like because I feel like when people get in their mocks, they're just kind of think of how their main league
Hmm.
is set up and how they're going to approach that league personally.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Maybe they will approach it as like standard. I don't know.
maybe. All right, and then let's try something else. Let's go two receiver for this. Is for those people who draft on ESPN. We'll go two receiver half PPR.
Do
12
they only
team.
have still one flex over there in ESPN too?
I think
Is that
so.
what
Do you
like
want
their
to do two?
standard
Should we
is?
do two?
I mean, it don't matter.
Yeah, it
It's
don't matter.
just I don't know why the norm should be like either 3 wide receivers or 2 flex. One or the other. That should be the norm nowadays.
Should be. Half PPR, please. I got you, Tony. I got you, Tony. We're doing half PPR. Oh, shit, I got to drop it in our chat first. All right, Tyler.
Let me see who. Okay.
We're doing half point PPR, two receivers, one flex. How you feel about Mixon's ADP and how you think this year's go? I feel great about his ADP right now. I don't know why people are scared off of Mixon outside of like they're talking, his injury, obviously. It shouldn't be because of Nick Chubb. It shouldn't be because of this offense. Joe Mixon is going to be the exact same player. He's going to touch the ball 20, 25 times a game. They just got to keep him healthy through the year. And I think maybe that's why you go get a Nick Chubb, is so you can make sure that he's healthy throughout the year. You have balance because Damian Pierce just wasn't good enough, unfortunately. But I love getting Mixon at his ADP. Him and Kamara, for whatever reason, are going outside the top 12. I scoop those players up as much as I can. As much as I can. All right. Half PPR. Shit, did not copy. Slide in. Slide in. Like the string, gang. Y'all slacking in here. Ain't that the truth, bro? Ain't that the truth? Everybody hop in the mock draft, but we don't be getting enough likes on this thing, man. Tyler, with the argument you had, is it okay to just go heavy running backs and take the receivers that are after the top 12 you mentioned, since they are all the same, because RBs are scarce? I'll let you answer that one.
Um, yeah, I mean, it depends on what the settings of, and I'm a firm believer in like tier based drafting. Like if I want to go 2 running backs, if it's like the running backs go really early and I'm sitting there looking at somebody that's, I don't even know, I can't even think of somebody that I really like. James Cook. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be taking James Cook just because I want to get 2 running backs. You know what I mean? I would definitely be going wide receiver. But honestly, I prefer to get one of the elite wide receivers early. That's just what I like to do. And then I think, in my opinion, at least this year, I think the second round, third rounds are really good for running backs. I love the running backs that are going that range. So I like to get one of the elite wide receivers that I can really count on, except maybe like later in the first round where I do think that there's some really good running backs there and you still can land one of those elite wide receivers with the second pick. So that's just how I look at it and how I approach it personally.
So when you draft, really, you're not taking a whole lot of like Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Jameer Gibbs. You're taking more CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, because at the one spot, chances are you're taking Chase. Two spot, maybe you're taking Bijan, but it seems like you really like CD. And just I'm speaking for you right now. You can clear it up. And then it seems like you're kind of going receiver heavy at the top. You just talked about how much you like the back end running backs. Like for me, I've been doing a lot of Bijan at the top of the draft, and I love the way my team comes out.
Yeah, I honestly have not. That's why I picked one because I haven't done many drafts from like the first 3 spots I've done. I love pick 12. Like pick 12 is
Yeah.
probably my favorite pick this year. So we'll see, but I probably will go. I don't mind going Bijan still because I think he's RB1, so I'm okay with that. And just hoping I hit on the wide receivers because I don't like the wide receivers personally
Yeah.
around there.
Hey, we got eighth spot. Let's get in a live body. I don't want to mock with a bot. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. We could do one. I feel like one bot. There we go. B-ball play. I was like, I feel like maybe one bot wouldn't be bad. But remember, this is half PPR. Half PPR, two receivers. Okay. Half PPR, two receivers. Half PPR, two receivers.
I was Bijan there.
Should have went Bijan there, bro, to see how it played out. We're gonna go Saquon. We're gonna go Saquon. Yeah, man. I feel like I didn't get to fully touch on this, but I feel like when you come back around that 12 spot, it's you get kind of stuck with the receivers, those last of the 12. You can sometimes Tyreek will fall to you, but most of the time it's Marv, Garrett Wilson,
Mhm.
Devontae, now your T Higgins. Like that's where you're taking at the back end of the second round, top of the third, and then the running backs that are left there are like Bucky Irving and Chase Brown. So you kind of got to decide which do you like. And it seems like you like the running backs there better. I like the receivers there in the second and third round. And then depending on who I'm drafting with, like in these drafts, there's no way it happens. But when I've been doing a lot of the best ball drafts, sometimes Kamara and Mixon will fall to me at the end of the fourth and the fifth. And it feels like I'm getting fantasy
Oh
gold.
yeah,
So,
best ball that happens all the time.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I like I just like the running backs there personally. I even like Brees Hall. I'd go with him at the 301. I
Mm-hmm.
just feel better about those running backs than I do. I shouldn't say like all the wide receiver. I mean, it used to be Rasheed Rice. Rasheed Rice, I was like, okay, and that's why like I would go with Bijan because I was like, all right, Rasheed Rice will most likely be there. But now it's like, I don't know which one it's it. Maybe it is Tyreek. Maybe I'm too low, and I think about that all the time. But it's
Yeah.
just something that
I
I
find
don't know.
myself grabbing a lot of receiver at the back end of the first round. Like I'll get the like Drake, London, AJ Brown stack, or like Brian Thomas is somehow there. I'll take him.
Yeah,
And then the only times I really would like St. Brown has been falling there a lot too. The only time I'll really take a running back is if it's like I feel I'm at the 7 or 8 spot for whatever reason, CMC or Derrick Henry kind of falls to me. Achan, like if one of those guys is there, then I'll take him. But I've had I feel like
in the
that like
first you're saying, or in the second?
in the
In the
second,
second.
I kind of like taking Brian Thomas. It's almost like Brian Thomas or bust for me at the back end of that. For I just feel like the
Yeah,
upside
he's
is
there a
crazy.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love like I talked about it a lot. I just love the start. Like, and there's just so many different combinations that you don't have to
Yes.
worry about. Like, I hope this guy falls. It's just like there's so you go with Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey. Like those two guys could be both top three running backs this year. You could go with like if you're into the rookies, you could go like Ashton Genty and Brian Thomas Jr. Like you just mentioned, ultimate potential upside in both those kind of guys that you're chasing. So and like I said, there's different players that you can land where it's not like you have to just sit there and pray that this guy falls. There's just a lot of different combinations that you have of really, really, really high end talent.
I would
So
just say
I love
this:
it.
my main concern, my main concern with uh, my main concern with drafting at the back end, right? Like you talked about the combinations, and I agree with you. There's a lot of players that could be RB1, like McCaffrey could be RB1, Derrick Henry RB1, Jonathan Taylor RB1. You can get a lot of Devon
Devon
Achan
Achane.
RB1. You got a lot of wide receiver one candidates. You talk about Nakua and Neighbors and Nico and Drake London. So I hear you on that. My problem is the next couple rounds because I feel like that's where the receivers really dry up and depending on who you're drafting with, obviously. But now you're like kind of stuck with, okay, do I start reaching on players? Do I have to start taking players now above their ADP? Like obviously Kamara and Joe Mixon, I talked about how much I love drafting those guys, right? But like, am I going to have to reach on them and then for a receiver, right? Do I have to start reaching on like Cortland Sutton in this round, Travis Hunter, Ted McMillan? That's kind of starts to be an issue there in that back half of the draft. So that's my only thing with the back half is that I've found that yeah, you really get those two players you want there at the top, But you talked about like how at the end of the second round you're kind of hoping players fall. I feel like that's the case with this back end of the third round. Otherwise, you're taking like quarterback early. You got to go Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or like you're
I
taking
don't
Terry
think that's a
McLaurin and Mike
bad.
Evans. You know?
I don't think it's bad, honestly, getting like Lamar there or Josh Allen. To be honest with you, I kind of
It's not
like
bad.
it, but
You're right.
see, this is where we kind of differ, just because I know that you're not a lot of times now in your league, because I know you're very high on like Joe Mixon just went at 302. No fucking shot is he going at 302 in a regular draft. Like in the regular draft, a lot of times he's going in the fourth round. Same with Alvin Kamara. Kamara will be there a lot of times at the back
Yeah.
end of the third round. I'll gladly take, like, especially if I go two wide receivers, if I get like, because sometimes this does happen and people will say that doesn't happen. Listen, I do drafts all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like shit happens, crazy stuff
I got a
happens.
request. I got a request too, but I don't mean to get your thought. I got a request. Next time we're here, drop a link in your Discord. Next time we'll do it. I want to drop a link in your
Okay.
Discord, and so let's have them draft. If we can on this channel, I want to draft with them on this channel, so I can like. I mean, you can kind of talk through how it's different too.
Okay. Yeah. So, and like I was saying, so like a lot of times Alvin Kamara is there. So you could start with like, I've had this before where you start with like Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and then you're getting Alvin Kamara as your RB1. And then you could get Lamar Jackson as your quarterback. Like,
Yeah,
that's such a sexy build. Or I know that you don't like this, but you could start with kind of the same thing where you go like, I've even seen Puka Nakua, Amon-Ra, St. Brown have been back there. So
yeah,
you could start with like Amon-Ra, St. Brown, or even if you're big on Drake London and like um AJ Brown, whatever. You start with that duo, and then you get AK. I love, especially the longer Najee Harris sits out, Amarian Hampton there in the fourth round, or Kenneth Walker. Like he falls there at a lot of the times too. So like you can start with those two wide receivers, like elite top tier guys, and then get guys who have, in my opinion, some high end, especially Alvin Kamara, like high end RB1 potential, or at least mid RB1 potential in PPR format. So like I that's why I love it. Or you just pivot and go with the ultra safe option, Lamar Jackson, who once again, barring injury, will most likely be a top 3 quarterback in fantasy football, averaging 20 some fantasy points per game and be a borderline league winner at the quarterback position. So that's how I like it. That's why I
yeah.
like it.
I'm not mad at that. You know what I mean? And it truly depends on like what draft you're in and who you're drafting with.
Yeah, who
Because
you're drafting with. Yeah, for
there's so
sure.
many possibilities, you know what I'm saying? And even like the settings matter a whole lot, but it's like when you start to like look at what you can build there, I feel like that's where things kind of change outside of just like elite talent. Now, well, let me rephrase that. Not elite talent, but at the positional elite talent. The running back receiver just feels like that back end of the third round. Unless somebody slips, that's kind of where
Yeah.
it feels like there's a slight fall off. So that's my only qualm with that. And I also feel like here too, when you're coming back around the fourth and fifth, that middle of the fifth round is also where like the running back
Yeah.
dries up, the receiver dries up. So that fifth round gets kind of like, and I feel like if there's any, I don't want there to be, but if there's any injuries during training camps to 2 or 3 players out of these top 60 players, it's going to dry up even more.
And last thing I'll say too is that if I was drafting from the 12 spot, I would go 100% at least one wide receiver there. Like I would not want to go 2 running backs because like we talked about, I do think the wide receiver position, in my opinion, dries up quite a bit, and could potentially dry up even more, like depending on your league in that third round where you're looking at now, like taking JSN or Terry McLaurin as your wide receiver 1. If you go double running back, and just for me, like I would not be okay with that. That's not something that I want personally. So I would be going at least one in the back end, at least one wide receiver, and then just hope the running back falls to you wherever, in the second round.
Yeah, and
Personally, I think
obviously
so.
we are doing a 2 receiver, 2 running back league, so that might be the difference in drafting here. But I
Yeah,
agree. I tend to agree. Like, if you're there, you want to try to get. I like getting 2 receivers there because, like you talked about, because Kamara, Mixon. Sometimes for me, those are players that I target. But I don't mind if you get 1 running back and 1 receiver. But like, I think 2 is tough there. Double up with like Achan and Henry. I've done that a couple times in best ball, and I hate the way my team turns out because just
yeah,
like I said, then you're like Terry and Mike, or
yeah.
it's like
And then,
you
like
can't have
you
that guy
said
as your
too,
problem.
the 5th round, like the 5th and 6th round, like the wide receivers really fall off there
Yeah.
when you're getting outside of like the Devontae Smith.
Mhm.
Even like in my opinion, I like Jalen Waddle and a lot of like he'll be gone sometimes there in the 5th round. So then you're stuck with, you know, say Flowers ish. And it's just like as like your wide receiver two potentially. I don't feel good about that at all.
Yeah, Zay Flowers, bro. I can't. Yeah, I just don't see the upside. There's some players I don't draft, and it's not because I don't like the player. It's just because they don't provide any upside. Zay Flowers is continuously one of those players.
Yeah, I mean, don't make sense.
I think we kind of just went over this right here. What you've been doing at the 12 turn. If you got anything else to add to that, or nah, I feel like we kind of just went over that.
No, I would just say once again, either two wide receivers start. I think it's honestly can work out great if you like those running backs like Kamara, Kenneth Walker, Marion Hampton kind of guys. And you get two running backs, or at least just one running back, one wide receiver. Ideally, is what you want there in
I'm
the
not
first
gonna lie, what Aiden Lee did was kind of the opposite of what I would want to do if I had that. Like, because I mean, this the
Definitely,
receivers are so like they're not
yeah.
bad. It's just gonna be a tough uphill
Yeah,
battle now to try to
right
find.
now, what I would do if I had his team, I would like my next 5, 6 picks would just be all wide receivers,
You got
where
to
you're
hit
just
one,
like,
yeah.
you gotta
Got
get one.
just a rule of thumb here too. I'm gonna be. This is how I play, and you maybe you can bring some insight for yourself. But I almost never, if I take a tight end early, that means you can't take a quarterback early. If you
Yeah.
take a quarterback early, that means you can't
Well,
take a
I
tight
just
end
did it
early.
in this one because I did it for a video. Somebody asked me to do it,
Oh,
so that's why I'm
to
doing it.
take both early.
To take 2 within the first 4 rounds.
Okay. Yeah,
So
you
they want me
almost
to
can't
go
do
with
that. Like because the drop off, we talk in a 12 team league. I would say maybe if you're in a 10 team league and you want to get ballsy, go right ahead and do it. There's enough talent to go through. But
yeah.
like in a 12 team league, there's not enough talent to go around. Like if you Jalen Waddle, I'm gonna be no, this is no shade, Aiden Lee. But if Jalen Waddle is your number one receiver, you're not making the playoffs, bro. Like
Like
just be
last
honest.
if he's what he did last
I mean,
he's
you're
pretty
asked out if
bad
he does
last
that.
year.
Even like
Yeah.
JMO, like you have to hope and pray that like two guys pan out because if you look at some of the other teams, they're stacked with like 1,500-yard type receivers. You would have to hope for like major breakout out of like Ted McMillan or Travis Hunter, or hope that prime Stephon Diggs and Cooper Kupp were there. Like there's just so much you have to ask. Where as some of these other teams are going to have really good talent, foundational talent, it just doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, it's a mock draft though for a reason. You got to be able to try that out and see if you like the build.
Mhm.
Got to be able to. Matthew Golden will finish as a top 5 receiver. Not biased at all.
I
Yo,
do like him for where he's going.
do you like Matthew Golden? Because I think Matthew Golden came in. Obviously, he's going to be known as a burner, but like he's a good route runner as well.
Yeah.
But Jordan Love kind of spreads that thing around a little bit more than we want
Yeah.
to admit.
So I think the one thing I love Jaden Reed, but the biggest problem with Jaden Reed is he's kind of like Josh Downs in the sense he's not running all the routes. Like they run like 70% of the routes, and there's just unless you're rookie season Jaden Reed or like when he's hyper efficient with his touches, like it's so difficult for those guys to be successful in fantasy football. But the thing with Matthew Golden is I do think he will probably be running all the routes. Like otherwise, why would you draft him in the first round? Like, why are you taking a wide receiver in the first round
Yeah.
if you aren't going to use him as like your number one? So if that's the case, in Golden, which I've seen a lot, like
But
the
we hear that all
community
the
has
time.
been
Sorry, I hate that shit though. I hate that. Oh, if you took him in the first round, you're gonna use him. We said the same thing for Xavier Leggett last year. We said the same thing for Quentin Johnson in the past.
yeah.
It doesn't always work like that.
No, it he has to be good. Like he
Yeah, you
has to
got to
be
be
good at
good.
football, and that's the thing. If he is good, I do think that there's a lot of upside here because he is a burner. Jordan Love over the past 2 years has been top 5 in deep targets, so they want to take those shots down the field. He just has to be good, and but like he goes late, where I'm okay with
Yeah.
just taking the shot on him because I don't think that there's a ton of risk. It's not like he's a 4th rounder, 5th rounder. He's like an 8th or 9th rounder. So I'm in.
I feel like in he and Jaden Reed both go in the same spot, and I think Jaden Reed is kind of being undervalued as well
God,
in the same spot. They're not too far off ADP wise. I don't know. I
funny
still
that.
take Jaden Reed, but I think I could be very wrong. Obviously, could be very wrong on that. I think I could be wrong on that eventually. Like, I feel like Matthew Golden has potential to outplay it. There's also
Yeah,
a chance that he's regular though. Whereas I think Jaden Reed,
100%.
I know he's wide receiver 3-ish.
My that running back fell off so bad there. It
Yeah,
was
they
so
did.
disgusting. Oh shit! You know what? I would have changed that. I see. That's the problem with sleeper. Like some of those, I don't know why they don't have like Travis. Why did Travis
Yeah,
Etienne move so far down there?
I don't know.
Even like Caleb Johnson, they're so far down the list.
I've
Oh
drafted
well.
so much fucking Travis Kelsey, bro. I don't know.
Um, no, but I agree with like because maybe they're like, oh well, hey, why the hell aren't we using Jaden Reed as an every down kind of player? Well, to be honest with you, I don't know exactly what you said because I was like, who the fuck
No,
are you
I
going
was
to
talking
pick
about
this
Jaden
year?
Reed. I was just saying I draft more of him. I think he's like safer. Like as
Yeah,
to be a wide receiver 3, I think he's a wide receiver 3 with like wide receiver 2 upside. The problem is when you draft Jaden Reed instead of drafting Matthew Golden, is you lose out a little bit on that. Oh shit, he's a top 15 receiver. Like I don't. There's
yeah,
a very slim possibility that Jaden Reed ends up as a top 15 guy,
I
whereas
would.
Golden
I'm
could end up there.
I'm gonna push back because I do think there's a world like I really do think it just comes down to him running more routes.
Okay.
Because the other thing with Jane Reed too is they do use him in like creative situations
Yes.
where they hand him the ball and he's shown us like he can have big spike weeks too. Like we've seen it where he puts up some monster weeks. It's just simply I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm not in the locker room or on the team. I don't know why he doesn't run. Maybe they just can't trust him in this situation. I have no idea. But like, if he were to ever do it and be a guy who's because he doesn't play in two wide receiver sets.
No, and he
So if
won't.
he does
He's not
play in
going to.
wide receiver sets, I do think he could be a big breakout kind of guy. But I don't know.
And Jordan, and I mean, half of the battle last because Jaden Reed was on that trajectory last year. I think we were taking Jaden Reed as like a top 25, 30 receiver last year, if
Yeah,
I'm not
and he
mistaken.
looked good the first few weeks of the
It
season.
did. It looked like he could, but when you
Well,
bring in
Jordan
a
Love got
Matthew
hurt.
Golden, you bring in a Matthew Golden to kind of alleviate some of that, right? I
Yeah,
got a feeling he's going to play two receiver sets a little bit more. You got Dobbs, who's in a contract year. They're going to use him as well. But the big thing we're missing is from the commenter here, Love for MVP, like Jordan Love is going to be back healthy.
yeah.
And so he'll sling it. He'll sling it downfield a little bit more than we saw last year. Probably a little bit more accurate. I think there's going to be a lot of value just in this Green Bay offense in general.
Yeah, no, I agree. As long as he's healthy, I hope he's healthy.
Agreed. I love the blank and blank won't be there at round 4, bro. Like no shit. Have you seen every board? Yeah, crazy stuff does happen. There was a draft where it was weird because Patrick Mahomes fell to like in underdog. I passed on him for some reason. I don't remember why, but he fell to like the 8th or ninth round. I was like, what the fuck is going on? But
Hmm.
everybody was picking players underneath him for some reason. It was like he
Yeah,
stayed there. It was weird.
yeah, and just like you have that in drafts where most people they'll have like certain players that they like, but then there's other player. There it could be just a league full of guys that don't like the one player, and he just continues to fall, and you're like, oh well. It's like one time I saw, and I did a video on this, and I hate kind of doing videos on this because they're not likely, but just somebody asked me to do it. But Brian Thomas Jr. fell to the middle of the second round, like.
Oh wow.
I don't know why in a 12-team league, but just
That would
shit like
never
that
happen in
happens.
my league.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't like shit happens. Like
Yes.
people really want the biggest problem is people have like in their mind that they really, really, really want this guy. And then like the situation comes up where, oh shit, I wasn't expecting Brian Thomas here, but I really, really want this guy. Fuck it, I'm just gonna go with the guy I really, really want. And then you kind of have like a trickle down effect where it's like, oh fuck, I wasn't really planning on this. I like Brian Thomas Jr., but I've already kind of talked myself in this situation. So it's like then that kind of stuff happens where they get pushed down the board. So
Yeah, I seen
anything
Alvin
can
Kamara
happen.
went to the 6th round one time when I was drafting. I'm like, I
Like,
took him easily there. You know what I mean? But it just
yeah,
you just never know who you're drafting with, and like you know, like I said, I want to draft with your community because I think we get spoiled here. Like we all kind of draft together, draft the same way. You're probably like, thank God, all the players I want. Half these players probably don't go as low in your drafts. Like
yeah.
I see that all the time when we do our quarterback in our super flex leagues. When we draft on here, and they're like, "Oh, quarterback would never go that low in my draft." I'm like, "No shit," because you're in a draft with us,
Hmm.
and there's different drafts. You're in drafts with different people, so not every league is the same. So it's just funny, man. Like people think that their league is the one league in all of America that matters. And I'm like, bro.
Yeah. No, for sure.
How you feeling about your draft so far?
I don't. I will. No, I don't like it. I wish what I would have done is if I would have went down the board a little bit, and I would like it more. I probably would have went with like Caleb Johnson and Travis Etienne there, double running backs, or at least one of them instead of Quinshawn.
Mhm.
But like the running backs just dried up so quickly there, or I probably should have went with like a running back and instead of Devontae, and then just get a couple wide receivers there. I don't. It like we it's so hard going to quarter or going with a quarterback and a tight end early just because like we're gonna really. I just need one of these running backs to hit, I guess, which maybe, but like with the potential suspension of Quinshawn, I definitely would not have went him there as my RB2.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah. Even have like a Travis Etienne or Caleb Johnson as an RB2. I still don't even like that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like your team definitely is gonna get roasted if you post that one. They're gonna be like, "This is what you don't do." But at least you can preface it with like, "Hey, one of my followers wanted me to ask. This is how it plays out," and now they know. They're like, "That team is ass." Blah blah blah. Why would you take Quinshon Judkins? The thing is about Judkins though, he hasn't gotten suspended,
Yeah.
and we don't know that he even gets suspended this
It
season.
could
Like
yeah,
sometimes
it could be like
quarterbacks
a Rasheed Rice type of
it,
situation.
it
Just
very
gets
well
pushed
could be.
back.
Like I've been drafting him. He's another player in underdog who goes for whatever reason. Well, not for whatever reason, but now he'll go 4 or 5 rounds where he won't go. I'll take him. I'll
Yeah.
take him as like my RB 3 or 4 just in case he's there.
Mhm.
Like just in case he's on the field for 17 games.
Yeah. No, I agree. You never and that's why like Rasheed Rice, I mean, he's definitely going to get suspended, but hey, if it ends up being 3 and shit, you get him in the where'd he go in this one?
He went
Oh, we went to 4-3. So
fourth round.
damn,
That's early. That's a little early.
that's paying
Or
the
Mike and
price where if
Terry.
it ends up being an 8 game suspension, easy that's
Yeah,
going to be rough.
hurting. None of the Green Bay's receivers have earned the top target share. Golden has great hands. Reed and Dobbs led the league in drops. Golden could easily be wide receiver 1. He very well could easily be wide
Definitely.
receiver 1. I can see that.
Or it could be Xavier Leggett and he's ass.
You never know. And I don't even think like I think what if he had a 700-yard season and like 5 touchdowns? I don't think that was even a bad year for a
No,
rookie. It's
yeah.
just
It's
not
just
our
not great
expectation.
for fantasy football. Like it's not somebody that you're going to be really throwing in your lineup and feeling confident every single week.
I will say this.
And
I
maybe
probably
later
need to
in the
draft
season.
more. I need to draft more Matthew Golden though in best ball. I don't know that I'll take him in redraft because I don't think you'll need to. But I think in best ball, I probably need to start taking a little bit more Matthew Golden because the
I think
upside.
one of those two guys,
Well, when you
personally.
think about it, right? In fantasy, and it's just, I mean, it's not a blanket statement, but it kind of is like there's always a rookie receiver who outperforms expectations.
Yeah.
First rounder, right? And I think Tet, everybody's kind of expecting Tet to be the guy, right? Come in and be a top 25 guy immediately, which to me is kind of crazy. Travis Hunter, we know he has the upside. He's going to play early on offense, but probably going to be playing some defense at some point too. Then you get down to like, you got Matthew Golden, who could be like a Lad McConkey-ish type value this year. You know what I'm saying? Like has the upside to be a big play guy. We've seen it in the past with other receivers where it pans out, doesn't pan out. Emeka Egbuka, right? Another first
Mhm.
round receiver. Like a lot of people are expecting him to do well because of the Godwin injury, but that's a crowded receiving room. I'm not saying it's going to happen for Golden, but I think if I was if there was a guy who was gonna like he has that potential to kind of outplay expectations, I guess is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
No, I agree. And this could be so on average over like I think I look back and it's like 5 or 6 years or something like that. We're
Mhm.
seeing one rookie wide receiver finish inside the top 12. So if you had to take your pick today, who do you think that would be personally?
If I had to pick my pick first round
One,
receiver in the top 12, only one, it would be Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter.
So, but then you've also had years where like the Rasheed Rice year and Jaden Reed. Both those, I don't know if there was. Oh, that was Puka Nakua's. But the other ones were like Garrett Wilson and Lad McConkey year. None of those guys finished top 12, but they had like Garrett Wilson early in the season was fantastic when I believe it was Joe Flacco was the quarterback there or Matt White, one of those guys were the
Hmm.
quarterback there, and he was electric. So you can have moments like that with Matthew Golden where he doesn't technically finish as a wide receiver one, but there could be like a late season breakout, like with Rashid
Yeah,
Rice's rookie season, where he does. But it may be a situation where you dropped him now because now it's week 7. He hasn't done anything. He's kind of a eighth round,
yeah.
ninth pick where you're not. You hold on those guys, but there comes a certain point where you may have to cut loose, and it could happen, and then ends up being a guy who breaks out later in the season, and
I
fortunately,
could
he's not on the
definitely see
team
that
anymore.
happening for Golden, like a slow 3 game start to the year, and then a fucking 150 and 2 touchdown game, and now he's the pickup
Yeah,
of the week. Like I could
exactly.
definitely see that for Matt
For
because
sure.
Jordan Love will pass. You know what I mean? Like Romeo Dobbs will
Yeah,
probably have a game where he's the guy. Jaden Reed's going to have one of those spike games. Tucker Kraft is going to do that. They also have Josh Jacobs. Like I
yeah,
feel like they have so many options there, but there is going to come a time where Matthew Golden has that week where like, oh shit, this is why
yeah,
they drafted him number 1.
yeah.
I don't know, man.
No, for
Let
sure.
us. How y'all feel about this mock draft, man? Trying to look across the board real quick, see if anything stands out to me. Pretty balanced. I would say GA boy this time was kind of bold for skipping running back in a 2 receiver, 2 running back league. I think you're kind of. I'm not sure everybody drafted that way. Let's see. Yeah, like Q over here, your second running back is Aaron Jones and Ramondre. I don't know, but you backed it up with Mason. It's not bad. How you feel about your team?
Don't really. I mean, nah, I don't like it. No. I think if I would have went double running back there, probably would have. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
need one guy to hit one running back. I always say this about fantasy. Like you can find kind of replacement level throughout the year. Just guys get hurt at the running back position to plug and play for a week or two. But like, if none of those RB2s hit, I'm going to be really, really hurting. So I need one of
Yeah.
them to hit.
Definitely risky. Member only now? Yeah, for right now, the chat is member only. Going to be member only moving forward the rest of the season. Jahan, I finally made it to your draft at Team 4 for my running backs. Team 4. So you loaded up 3 backs. Your number 2 receiver is Cortland Sutton. I like how you got Diggs and Ridley there, though. I think it's not bad. I probably would have got like Kamara, though, instead of Chase Brown, but I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that setup. I think I would have. I think I would have got another receiver here. I would have got like Metcalf or Worthy instead of Chuba Hubbard, and then hoped because Chuba Hubbard to me is damn near the same as like Pacheco, Dave Montgomery,
Yeah.
Swift, Pollard. He's kind of in that range for me. So but overall, not bad. I don't think I can make training camp. I'm gonna be in New York City. What's that got to do with anything? You in NYC? It's virtual, bro. It's virtual. Virtual, man. You could be on your phone and do it. Only worry with Judkins is him not signing his rookie contract. I know a lot of the rookies have.
A lot
That
of them
isn't.
have been.
Yeah, I think they get something done. I
Yeah,
don't
they'll
think
get it done.
the Browns. I mean, if we being 100% honest, the Browns have Deshaun Watson on their roster. Right? If they
Yeah.
were truly concerned about image and bringing Quinshon Judkins back, I don't think Deshaun would be there. So I'm not overly concerned about Judkins yet. Adonai Mitchell, sleeper receiver of the year. I love this take. I don't know about of the year, but I think he's definitely a sleeper.
I like him more in like a best ball format.
Yeah, I mean, I drafted a ton of him in best ball. He's the kind of player you don't ever know when to start.
Yeah,
Like
it would
that's
be very difficult. And just like I really do think if Daniel Jones is here, I do think it just makes unless Anthony Richardson takes a big step. I don't want to write him off. Like maybe he could take a big step from where he was last year, but it's not.
you mean you think he could be more than the mobile quarterback, Tyler?
I yeah, I think if he could, if he, but honestly, if he could be Justin Fields, like I think that Justin Fields has some limitations with like the arm and everything, but
What
the mobile
limitations does he?
upside,
He has Justin Fields has an arm,
well, like accuracy.
but I mean, he could be accurate too, though. Like we just haven't seen him. We haven't seen him in a while. And there's a bunch of inaccurate quarterbacks.
In Pittsburgh, he was not. great.
What,
Listen,
what do you
I
think he
love
was like?
Justin
What do you
Fields.
think? What do you think accuracy wise he was like? You think he was bottom 5% in accuracy, like out of
No,
starters?
probably not, but bottom 5. I mean, I would say, like, Will Levis was definitely down there.
Mhm.
Um,
Who
I know A. Rich definitely was.
who
I
else? Who
saw
else
it.
are some? Who else are some inaccurate quarterbacks? Ty. Who else you think is inaccurate?
Um, I don't even know off the top of my head. I'd have to
Yeah,
look.
I ain't gonna put you on the spot. I sent you the link. I sent you the link. Uh,
Yeah.
I'll be busy. We'll see if I'm able to drop by. Uh, all right, you should be able to drop by, even if you're doing something, bro. Even if you're doing something. If Danny Dimes starts, love Adonai, but if Richardson starts, avoiding him like the plague. I I think Richardson just missed him on a bunch of plays last year. And I know that's part of it, but we'll see how it goes. I think I would have more confidence with Danny Dimes. It's just the upside I think would be limited. Whereas fantasy wise, I would want to see Richardson. Fantasy wise, I think for the receivers though, you want to see Daniel Jones in there.
Was it Superflex?
Super flex. Super flex draft, 3 receivers. If you've been in a draft too, wait a second. Let somebody else who hasn't been in a draft try to get in. Because I know we got sometimes we get, people aren't able to join. So if you're in every single draft, hold out this one and see if we can get somebody new in there. No, they're not gonna listen to me.
No.
They're not gonna listen. They like,
I
nope.
tell my followers too, and it's like literally the same people
Yeah.
joining.
The ones with good internet connection.
Yeah, I'm just like, come on. Let one poor soul get in there that's always like, oh, I just missed out.
I'm gonna try something new this draft, okay? Just so you guys know, my pick here is always and forever Bijan Robinson, okay? Just know that. Super flex, half PPR, standard
It's
PPR,
changing.
but I'm changing something up. I'm gonna go Lamar here. I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna see how I like the draft. I never really show this like if I'm gonna go 2 quarterbacks early, but I'm gonna see what happens in this draft. I'm gonna try a Tyler
Hmm.
strategy out and see what the fallout looks like.
This is tough here. I don't know
Oh,
if
it's
I'm
not
gonna
tough.
put
It's Bijan, bro.
Jane Daniels.
I got a feeling, and it's kind of a spicy take, but hear me out. Jaden Daniels last year was the QB5, and I think he had a few mega games, like some late come from behind type wins. And I really like Jaden Daniels, and I like the spot we got Jaden Daniels last year. But my concern is that, like, I think we're drafting him like he's Lamar Jackson. I think we're drafting Jaden Daniels like he's Josh Allen. I think we're drafting him like he's Jalen Hurts, and he's not. Jaden Daniels does not possess the same 1,000 yard rushing upside that Lamar Jackson has. He doesn't have the same 15 touchdown potential as a Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen. And he didn't finish as a top 4 quarterback last year where those elite guys were. Joe Burrow outplayed him. So why are we at this spot now where we think, okay, Jaden Daniels is in his second year, like teams aren't going to adjust? Like Cliff Kingsbury didn't slow him down a little bit last year. There was a point where he got hurt and he wasn't sliding a lot. He got injured. He hurt his ribs. I don't think he missed any time, but they slowed him from the running game, right? Why are we all of a sudden now putting Jaden Daniels in this same conversation as Lamar, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts, who have done it for years? My problem with Jaden Daniels is that I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's getting pushed up into this tier because we view him as the next Lamar Jackson, when in reality, he's his own breed of quarterback. He's a little bit, not as much, a little bit more of a passer than Lamar is, a willing passer. Whereas Lamar is willing to go for that 70, 60-yard touchdown run. It's a little bit different. He's not Jaden Daniels, or he's not Jalen Hurts. He's not Josh Allen, where he's going to score 10 plus rushing touchdowns. So why are we trying to make Jaden Daniels into something he's not? That's the problem I have right now with Jaden Daniels is where he's going. Now, I don't know if you're on the same page with me or not. Obviously not.
Uh, no, I understand what you're saying. The one thing that I'll say is, like, the reason why is because, I mean, he was a rookie last year who did it. Like, so we don't know. Like, this could be the floor for Jane Daniels. He may have another ceiling that we don't even know about. I mean, he did rush for nearly 900 rushing yards last year, so I don't think it's crazy to believe that he couldn't rush for
It's not crazy.
a
It's just
thousand.
it's just that the way that the offense is built really doesn't support that, in my opinion. And you go get a Debo Samuel, which means you're probably going to be feeding them a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, stuff that's a little bit safer for the offense. So you're not getting in those 35-point shootouts that they were getting in all last season. That does a lot on the offense, right? Where and I kind of think it's just one of those situations where like we saw a lot of good Jaden Daniels, and I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I'm not saying he's going to hit this major sophomore slump. What I'm saying is, I think he might have played at his ceiling. I know we use that kind of loosely, but I think he might have played at his ceiling last year. Like, which is crazy to say. And I don't think it's a ceiling as far as like he can't have a better season than he had last year. That's not what I'm trying to say. I just
Mhm.
think that he might have had one of the better seasons that you could have had, as it just happened to be his rookie year. That's all.
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to see like
double
a
tight end.
5,000 yard and 1,000 yard rushing season out of fucking Jaden Daniels. I just don't think, at least not this year.
Yeah, well, all right,
Oh
nice.
my gosh, he tried two tight ends.
Yeah, he
Was that
did.
intentional?
I don't know. I think so.
Oh my gosh, man, what are
Um,
you doing? Two tight ends? It's
but
crazy.
I still would like if I had. I still have me personally. I have Jalen Hurts ahead of him. Like I do. I would rather go with just because, like you said, we know Hurts is good for 10 plus, and like God forbid anything happens to Saquon. I think that only helps out like Jalen Hurts even more,
Yeah,
where there will probably be more rushing attempts and goal line pushes and stuff like that, and more passing attempts in that offense. So, I'm,
and
but I,
to
I
be honest, I didn't even talk about like what if Terry doesn't sign?
yeah,
Like, there's
or like something
what if Zach
happens and
Ertz gets hurt? Like he's been in most of his career. Zach Ertz has not been
or
available on the
Debo's
field.
washed.
What if Debo's washed? There's a lot that could go wrong for this. And I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying clear cut. I think this is going to happen. I just
No,
think
yeah,
he's not in the same tier as the elite three. He's not.
yeah.
I think there's an
I
elite
would
three, and
say
he's with Burrow and Mahomes.
I would say personally, I do think like potential wise, he's in that elite tier, but that's why I have him at the bottom just because he hasn't done it. Like I know it's not fair, but like I just know what I'm getting with the other three. I know I'm just getting 22 fantasy points per game. Like that's what those guys are going to be. They're going to be elite because it's who they've been over the past 3-4 years now. They've done it for a long time. So, but I do recognize that the upside with Jane Daniels is, hey, maybe he pushes for 35 passing touchdowns. I have no idea. I don't know
That's
what the upside
that's a
is.
lot. I mean, Terry became a
He had
red zone
25
threat.
last
Like we
year.
haven't even seen Terry ever be that what he was
No,
last year.
but I mean, he had 25 last year. Like, I don't think that there's like
I
who
don't know
would
if
have
it's 30.
thought
I don't think
Lamar
it's 30.
Jackson was going to throw for 41? Like everybody's always looked at him as this mobile quarterback, but then he puts up nobody thought that he could throw for 4,000 yards, and then he just put up 41 passing touchdowns and 4,000 passing yards. Like he even showed us another upside that we didn't even know like he could. So I don't think it's crazy to say like he could show like Jane Daniels this year could run for 1,000 yards and pass for close to 4,000 and have 30 passing touch. Like that's
Yeah.
insane. Like
I think
I just think that
the
there's
weaponry ain't there though. Like the thing is with Lamar,
fair.
it took the threat of
Yeah.
Derrick Henry. It took like
Yeah.
them drafting Bateman in the first round and having damn near two all pro expectation tight ends
Yeah.
out of
Fair.
Mark Andrews and
But
likely
hey,
like
maybe Debo isn't washed and
maybe
he's good.
Debo isn't washed. There's a lot that could go right for Jaden Daniels. I just don't really see the path to top
Or
three. It would
or
take
another guy that like maybe they do go two tight ends, and now like
Ben Sinnott.
Ben Sinnett, who people had some hope for, actually is takes that tight end kind of jump. It's not really year two,
Yeah.
but like takes a jump. Who knows?
Good convo there. I like that. What do you guys think about that about Jaden Daniels? Because I haven't really mentioned that a whole lot, but I talked a little bit about it. Kendall was on the show, and I mentioned like I don't know about Jaden Daniels, and it's not necessarily a fade. It's just from where he's going ADP rise right now. I don't want to take part in drafting Jaden. I like the kid, and I was heavy on Jaden Daniels last year. I just don't want to take the kid this year in the draft. So Timothy, appreciate you, homie. You said, would you go wide receiver, running back in the first 4 rounds if you're keeping Neighbors in round 5? I would go best player available because that's a loaded question, right?
Yeah, that's
If the
tough.
best receiver at that time available is Nico and
Yeah,
Jameer Gibbs is still there, I'm taking Jameer Gibbs. But
yeah.
it just
Keepers make it hard too. Like who's being kept? Like who
yeah,
else is being kept? I mean, are you talking like Brian Thomas? Like a lot of the first round picks are being kept. I mean, but if it's not a 3 wide receiver league, I probably wouldn't go like well, unless you're just saying in general,
yeah.
wide receiver, running back,
I
running back.
You could go with that. Like if you ended up, I personally 95% of the drafts that I'm in, I'm gonna go wide receiver, running back, first 4 rounds or no, excuse
Yeah,
me.
a lot.
95% of them I'm gonna draft positionally anyway, running backs and receiver only. That's what I meant to say. But like
Mhm.
I think if you go in positional, you kind of limit yourself with who you can get. That would be my only concern there. Like it truly depends on who's available. Truly. And because I honestly think you could go if a tight end fell to you in that fourth round, and Brock Bowers, Trey McBride fell to you in that fourth round, take them.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know what I mean? Like, there's no point. I don't think limiting Lamar falls to you or Jalen Hurts falls to you in the fourth round. Like, take them. I don't think limiting yourself is smart in this case, personally.
But I agree. Like a lot of the drafts, I do end up going wide receiver, like 2 wide receivers and 2 running backs in the first 4 rounds. But it largely depends on who's
What about
available.
when it's do you most of your drafts are 2 receiver leagues or 3 receiver leagues? Like when you do your mocks.
I mix it up quite a bit, honestly. If it is 3 wide, I do put a greater emphasis on like probably a 2 wide receiver. If it's like if I can land 2 of those guys inside once again like the top 11 for me, I'd like to go double wide receiver right off the rip and then go like a running back or even another wide receiver in the third round if it's like Devontae or somebody like that. And then I just have a really good core and then start to build out the running back position a little bit. But it and like 2, I do think like there's a big difference between 3 wide receiver leagues because the wide receivers are
Yes.
so important and
Yes.
they dry up fast and you got to hit because I've talked and like people in one of the videos that I made were like I think it's the opposite where you find more wide receivers on waivers than you find running backs. I'm like no chance. Like who are you finding in waivers later in the season? Maybe like a Cedric Tillman for a week or two when he was good, but like maybe Jerry Judy was dropped and you could have picked up Jerry Judy, which is valid. But like you can find I know last year wasn't the case because the running backs were really healthy, but typically the running backs are so banged up. They're missing a lot of games and you're picking up guys and plugging and playing. So, like in 3 wide receiver leagues, that's when wide receivers become so so much more valuable than a running back. But like 2-2, I think it's valid to go like a running back or uh and like the
Yeah.
first 2 rounds is fine.
Yeah. Well, let us know what do y'all normally do, man. Talk to us in the comments, man. Rain 48, what are you doing, bro? Are you sabotaging this draft, bro? You sabotaging this draft, Travion Henderson and Drake May, Patriots fan over here. What are you doing, bro? What are you building over there? What are you building over there? Yeah, man. I'm not a fan of 2 quarterbacks, and I think maybe this is because I'm in my own draft, but I think I'm showing the reason why. It's like this doesn't feel like a compared to your guys' team so far. Even though it's only 5 rounds in, I feel like my team is significantly weaker. But maybe it depends on who you guys get at quarterback and who I'm taking later. But it feels kind of weak right now. I'm not gonna lie. Through 5 rounds, it does. Paul Questenberry, y'all doing this shit on purpose? Y'all got to be doing this shit on purpose, man. We trying to run a cool mock, man. We gotta see what the super. I gotta see what the team looks like if I draft 2 quarterbacks. I'm already not impressed. Are you so in Superflex? I think we've talked about this, but I want to reiterate it. In Superflex, I think grabbing 1 quarterback in the first 4 rounds, depending on who's available, can be a sound strategy. Are you a must draft a quarterback guy in the first 2 rounds? Like, have you done a Superflex draft where you haven't drafted a quarterback in the first 2 rounds?
Um no, well, honestly, I've only done like super flex with you guys, so
Okay.
uh but like I do think and I've talked about this before, like there's just a certain tier of quarterbacks that I want as one. I want one of those guys to be my QB1
hmm
where I don't want to get too low on the list. So ideally, like I would probably go first 4 rounds, definitely one. Um, it just depends on like if we're going through the draft and we're like, and I know you've talked about this in the past where hey, I notice a lot of the guys are being taken, a lot of the quarterbacks are going. That means that a lot of skill position players are gonna be available. But I still do want like at least one guy. So maybe not in the first 2 rounds, but round three, like maybe they're focusing on some of those guys. And now it's like Garrett Wilson range of skill position players where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna miss out. I'm gonna take one of these quarterbacks and like say it's Justin Fields or somebody like
Mhm.
that. That's probably what I would do to get one of those guys my QB1. So I would say like first 4 rounds though is pretty good where those
No,
guys are
I
taken.
like Justin Fields. I think there's like the reason why I guess I'm really patient is because I don't think that there's a whole lot of 20 point per game quarterbacks, right? I think like you got
Yeah.
Lamar, Josh, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, maybe
Hmm.
Burrow. You can call Burrow that. I think Justin Fields is up there. I think Mahomes in the right situations there, Dak in the right situations there, Kyler in the right situations there. But outside of that, it's like there's a bunch of guys who could be like top 10 though, like
Hmm.
Goff and Herbert and Purdy and Mayfield. And like I feel like there's a lot of good quarterbacks. So it depends really on how the draft is going because unless everybody's taking quarterbacks in the first 2 rounds, you're probably gonna be able to get one of those guys in the third, fourth round at least.
Yeah. And I would be even if it went quarterback pretty heavy early on and say like now you're looking at like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields and Drake May, I wouldn't even be opposed to like then doubling up on quarterbacks in like the fourth and fifth round and I have like Drake May and Fields. I would love that combo where I could see high end upside for both those guys and feel like I can still compete. And then I went with like uh Malik Neighbors and Puka Nakua right off the bat, or like a Ashton Genty or something like that, because they got so pushed down the board that I have like something like that. Maybe not to that extent, but
Right,
really
right.
good two good skill position players right off the bat, and then I have those two quarterbacks. I feel like that would be a really good start in my opinion. But once again I've only done drafts with really you guys, and you guys obviously way
I
down
gotta
the
see.
quarterback
Like I
position.
said, I want to throw it next time we do a draft. Let's throw it in your
Next time we do a
chest.
super flex, we should
Yes.
do definitely super flex.
Yeah. Will it fill up? Will it fill up if
Yeah.
we drop it
Oh
in chat?
yeah. If I drop, because the Discord, they this time of the year, it's just they're ready
Yeah.
to do mocks.
Everybody is. I'm ready
Yeah.
to do.
So they'll do mocks like anytime. So yeah, uh next time we go live, we'll do it. Set aside a super flex, and we'll see how different it is.
All right. Bet.
But maybe it's not. Maybe they've changed.
I don't
I
know.
haven't done one this year.
We gotta see, and I mean, it depends on you know what I'm saying. I don't know. It
No,
depends on
I
who you
feel like it'll
draft
go
with.
quarterback early.
Yeah, I just want to see who I end up with because I the one thing about Superflex is, and you can if you've ever drafted like this in a Superflex league, you can be my witness. If everybody else goes two quarterbacks early, you know for a fact they're not taking their third quarterback
Another
till
one for a while.
way
Yeah.
later. Like so, you can almost wait and get so much value on the position. Like especially if there's a
Hmm.
couple options available. It's just you got to be really comfortable with having like a deep team and Tua and Stafford, or
Yeah.
CJ Stroud and Michael Penix, or like you have to be really, really comfortable with like the start of your draft and hit on your late round guys. Like you got to be able to draft the Jaden Daniels, the Drake Mays of last year, the Bo Nix of last year. You have to be able to find that shit.
Ugh.
I mean, Darnold was top 12 last year.
He
I don't know if I,
was.
I don't know if I would start to rock with him. No, I don't know if I rock with Darnold.
Not this year for me now. But JJ McCarthy,
JJ McCarthy, he's starting to rise up a little bit too in draft ratings. Shit, what about Aaron Rodgers? He's been top 15 damn near every year. Even last year at the Jets, I want to say he was top 15.
yeah,
Yeah,
or
I still ain't taking him though.
no. Well, I mean, if you're at that point, you're at the bottom of the barrel.
I mean, yeah, beggars can't be choosers. And I probably, to be real, I probably would go, oh my God. I probably would just get Anthony Richardson
Yeah, I would probably take like
like on my
that's and
bench.
those kind of. I'd probably take like four quarterbacks or three. I would take probably four, just and like one of them is like Anthony Richardson or
Yep.
something.
Like hella
Yeah,
upside.
yeah, just chasing that, or even like a Jackson Dart. Like, what if he starts week one and he's
Hon-
actually good? I
Yeah, you
mean,
have to see him start. Russ is going to start. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. If that's the
Or like
case, then yeah.
I think like you could rock like you talked about. You could rock with like Stafford and Tua, and then if you're just down there and somebody else takes Anthony Richardson, take like a Tyler Shook. Like I don't know that
I
he's
would take
good. I don't.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. You know who else? I think he's probably not going to be available right there, but Cam Ward.
Cam
I
Ward, yeah,
really like getting
another
Cam
one.
Ward as like a QB2 for the upside. But Tyler
Yeah,
Shook, the reason we wanted to talk about Tyler Shook is you don't know if he's good, you don't know if he's a starter,
yeah.
but like the offense, if it has good, the offense has talent.
Good skill position players.
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
got Chris Olave, who we're taking as a top 30 receiver. You got Rashid Shaheed, he was good last year until he got
He's
hurt.
having a
Alvin
breakout,
Kamara,
yeah.
I
Mhm.
I don't know. I
No, I
think that
agree. That I mean, that's definitely how I would approach it if I'm absolutely, uh, basically punting the quarterback position is
yes,
you just wanna chase and the other thing too is just and I've mentioned this in the past too, is just like having quarterbacks. Like quarterbacks will get hurt. There's going to be some quarterbacks to get hurt. So if you can have on your team four starters and they're like competent starters, you can even use one of those quarterbacks and trade them off because it's just people need quarterbacks.
flip
And
him.
I know like a lot of times quarterbacks are relatively healthy, but we had that one year where like all the quarterbacks got
That was
hurt.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
2
so
years,
you
it was
could
like
have a year
Burrows.
where
Yeah, all the quarterbacks got hurt.
a lot of these quarterbacks end up getting hurt, or there's some guys who are like fringe starters where like Justin Fields, I love him, but he could just not do well there, and he ends up getting benched, and they're like, all right, we need to see somebody else. Or even like, I know I have a lot of faith in Bryce Young, but we've already seen him get benched. There could be a world where they're like, it's more of rookie season Bryce Young, and they're like, "My God, get him the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
We gotta get somebody else." So like there's just spots like that where new starters can rise up and be a guy. I'm not saying they're gonna be good for fantasy, but like
right.
for super flex, those guys are valuable because they're essentially a wide receiver too.
I had this comment come in, and I wanted to address it. Somebody said the comment was something to the rather of like, I can find I could find a Brian Thomas easier than I could find a Jaden Daniels. I think that was the comment, right? In reference in the
What was
comment
it
that was
again?
it was referencing the fact that you could wait on, instead of waiting on quarterback, wait on skill players. And the comment was, I can find a Brian Thomas easier than I can find a Jaden Daniels. And I don't necessarily know that that's the case. I kind of think I could find
I feel like
a
Jaden
top
Daniels was
five
also like
quarterback. Huh?
very Jaden Daniels was also very easy to see last year.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
think
mean? Like
yeah.
that was an obvious type of thing. But Brian
I
Thomas
kind of think
Jr.
Cam
not so
Ward is
much.
too. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I kind of think Cam Ward's like a top 15.
I feel like it's Fields this year,
So
personally.
Fields is that guy. Fields is
I
that
feel
guy.
like Fields is basically this
Yes,
year's Jaden Daniels.
yes. I think I have that on wax actually. Um,
But
but yeah,
I would disagree. Well,
what do you think is easier to find? You think it's easier to
no,
find Brian Thomas, or you think it's easier to find Jaden Daniels?
I would say I would say like probably Jaden Daniels. The reason being is just because you have so many skill position players being drafted that the chances you land Brian Thomas Jr. as that guy is pretty low compared to like everybody taking, 33, 34, 35 quarterbacks and you hitting on especially if you're going to wait, you hitting on like a Sam Darnold or Jane Daniels, like I guess you're not really waiting too long. Is probably easier to do than finding the Brian Thomas Jr. But you also got to hit because you could land in a spot where you're getting, Trevor Lawrence or you're getting who is somebody that was really bad last year. Maybe you think it's like Gardner Minshew season.
Yeah,
Gardner Minshew was fucking ass last year. Like so you could be in a situation like that. But at the end of the day, you still got to hit, but I would definitely say like the quarterback just because you're drafting a lot fewer.
like I'm gonna be so the I think the ideal spot in this draft, at least to talk about that, is like Cam Ward and Matthew Golden, where you took him, right? I think there's a higher probability of Cam Ward hitting like top five ish quarterback than Matthew Golden
Yeah.
hitting top 12 receiver.
I would
That's where I feel like.
let me take oh gosh.
Or like even
Oh,
down here, right? Matthew Stafford and Jaden Higgins. I think yes, there's a possibility that Jaden Higgins can be like elite.
I didn't even take a tight end.
You didn't
Oops.
take a tight end. You've been fading a tight end today, bro.
Yeah, I'll pick one up.
Yeah, there you go.
No,
But
I understand what you're
even
saying.
like
Yeah.
Stafford and Jaden Higgins, it's like I think with Stafford, there's a better chance of him being top 10 than like Jaden
Yeah,
Higgins being a top
absolutely.
15 receiver.
At least like Matthew Stafford being a quarterback one. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So I don't know. That's why I fade. I typically can fade the quarterback position, and this is just to answer that question. It was on live. That's just to kind of answer that question. And I feel like I don't know. I just feel like if you're taking, unless you're taking Lamar, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, it's like
And
I can
also,
kind of be in a position.
it's not really fair. Like you're talking about rare ground with Brian Thomas. I understand what they're trying to say though. Like
Yeah.
Brian Thomas Jr. was very rare. Like those players are rare to find them this low. Like eighth roundish, seventh round, and being end up being like a top five, top six player at their position. That's pretty rare to find with skill position players. And also, you're just drafting so many of them. So I understand what you're saying too. Like, just if you're going to end up waiting on the quarterback position, there's a higher chance of you finding Sam Darnold last year compared to finding Brian Thomas Jr. this, the
Yes.
previous season. But
Yes.
once again, I think that there's a tier of players that need to go, and then I'm like definitely would rather have at least one quarterback just because I do think they possess high end upside. Um, but yeah, I don't think that's oh, I don't have a quarterback yet. I definitely need to get one right now. No, that's not always the case because you could like the guy who took let's see. Well, you took Mahomes early, but like let's
Yeah.
just say
I took
you for
Mahomes. Yeah.
instance. I mean, I
Okay.
got you got Mahomes there. I got Justin Fields in what the 6th round. I feel
See,
like they could probably be pretty close in terms of value, but like obviously this draft is different than
sound like
other
me,
drafts.
Tyler.
But like not all drafts will be like that.
Yeah, and real quick too, I did this exercise on my own last night, right? Because I saw the question come in. I think it came in yesterday, and I didn't like directly answer it, but I wanted to be like, okay, how valid is what he's saying? Because I like to, for when people bring up stuff, I like to at least know this in the back of my head. Last year, I went through the top 12 quarterbacks. Okay, and we got Baker Mayfield was not drafted as a top 10 guy. Jaden Daniels was not drafted as a top 10 guy. Jared Goff was not drafted as a top 10 guy. Bo Nix was not drafted as a top 10 guy. Sam Darnold was not drafted as a top 10 guy. Justin Herbert was not drafted as a top 10 guy. We had 6 quarterbacks out of the top 12 that weren't drafted. And I could have even went like Geno Smith right after that. There were 6 out of the top 12 quarterbacks were not drafted out as top 12 quarterbacks. So all those people who went super QB early, what I mean? If you had a 1 in 50% chance of hitting that. Now, if we went to the receiver position, in PPR. Jamar Chase was a top 12 receiver. Justin Jefferson was a top 12 receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown was a top 12 receiver. Drake London was a top 12 receiver. CeeDee Lamb was a top 12 receiver. Garrett Wilson was a top 12 receiver. Devontae Adams was a top 12 receiver. So it was like 7 out of the 12. So it was a
Yeah.
where it was leaning slightly more in the receiver's favor, but it was like you had to draft. And if I kept going down, there was other top guys, but it would lean slightly more favoring to like the receivers were more
Mhm.
consistent. This shit's breaking up, bro. My connection's trash right now.
Yeah, you're lagging a little bit. Well, it's
My
not like
bad,
your
buddy.
voice isn't lagging. It's not your voice. It's just your screen is lagging.
I
That's
was
all.
glitching. I was glitching, bro, like on
Yeah.
purpose. Sonny G said, "How'd I do at 3?" Let's see. Like the backs. Think shit, getting Dobbins your third actually isn't bad. Love the receivers you got. Quarterbacks are great. Tight end, you got upside. I give this like it's like an 8.3 out of 10. I like this one.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty good team. I agree. I
I
like it.
like it. I think if I had to go with like favorite team, B-ball play is standing out to me right now.
Which one? Oh, down there.
B-ball player. If
Yeah.
you would have
I
took a
think
tight
Tyler
end,
is
Tyler, I don't mind
crazy.
your team.
Yeah, I know. I forgot.
If you'd have took a tight end, Key Dot's team is Bryce is the second. Love for MVP. That team's not bad. TH22, Bonix Goff. That team's not bad too. TH22. Ty's team. I would say B-ball player is probably my favorite draft.
I would honestly say the Sonny G one because I
His is
if
good
you
too.
can land, it's just those top like three quarterbacks. If you can land one of them, and then also like everybody's kind of fading the skill or fading the quarterbacks a little bit, you're still able to like. I mean, he's still got AJ Brown, like
Yeah.
your wide receiver one. Even going like with an elite quarterback, you still have a very good wide receiver one. So it's just like it's nice to have.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say about this too, if you're watching this still, if you made it through this far, whoever's watching not live, and whoever's watching live, if you're in a league where most of the top two rounds, let's say 15 quarterbacks go out of the first 24 picks, just know if you don't go quarterback, you're going to have one of the most stacked rosters imaginable with the talent that's out there this year. If you can somehow land Bijan and then fucking Devon Achan or CD Lamb somehow and Jameer Gibbs, like if you can Brian Thomas and fucking Saquon Barkley, like if you can land two elite guys in the first two rounds, you're going to be setting yourself up for something major. Like in this draft, even like Q got Bijan and Puka, like that's an advantage. Like, and that's Jamar Chase and Christian fucking McCaffrey.
That could be
Like
1 and 2.
that's stupid, bro.
That could
So
be the number 1 and number 2 players in fantasy this year.
yeah. So just know if you fade the quarterback position, I mean this draft everybody did, but like if everybody else goes two QBs, you might be able to get a stacked lineup this year.
Well, we'll see it next time
We'll see it
we'll see
next
what
time.
happens with my league.
Yeah, well, you want to do that later this week or maybe next Monday? Next Monday.
It don't matter. Whenever.
All right, we'll get
We'll
on
do
again.
it.
But appreciate y'all for tapping in. I got to get going. Tyler, we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.
Peace out, y'all.